Okay, imagine this for a second. All the CEOs, the absolute top dogs from every major American company in a single industry, right? They gather in secret.
Sounds ominous already.
It is. And they're not there to figure out how to make their product better or safer. No, they're there to pool billions, literally billions of dollars, to figure out the best way to lie.
To lie about how dangerous their product actually is.
Exactly, to lie about its lethality.
Well, that's not some far-fetched thriller plot. That actually happened.
It really did. Welcome, everyone. This is HistoGate Chronicles.
And you're listening to The Deep Dive, where we pull back the curtain on real historical conspiracies, cover-ups, the stuff they didn't want you to know.
That's right. We take these stories straight from our HistoGate Chronicles books. Each deep dive, we unpack one of those hidden histories.
And today, oh boy, today we have a big one. It's really the masterclass, the absolute blueprint for how modern corporate disinformation gets made.
We're calling it the tobacco conspiracy, the truth the industry silenced. And this story, it's one of 5 absolutely mind-blowing investigations in our book, The Secret History of Science, Volume 1.
Yep, and as always, you can find the link to get the book right there in the description below this deep dive. We really recommend checking it out.
Definitely, because what we're about to get into, it's not just, oh, cigarettes are bad for you. We all know that now.
Right, this goes so much deeper. This is the story of how an entire industry, armed with its own scientific proof, we're talking visible tumors on lab mice early on, proof that their product caused cancer.
Armed to that knowledge, they didn't try to fix it. They didn't pull it from the shelves.
No way. Instead, they launched this incredibly sophisticated, decades-long global campaign. And the goal, to make scientific certainty sound like just, another opinion, like it was all still up for debate.
They literally weaponized doubt, replaced science with spin, and the cost. Oh, it was staggering. Millions of lives.
Millions. It's a heavy one. Short pause.
Okay, let's dive in. Where does this specific conspiracy really kick off? Set the scene for us.
We need to go back to December 1953. Picture this, the opulent Plaza Hotel in New York City. It's not a celebration, though. It's more like a war council.
A war council. Who's there?
You've got the heads of all the major tobacco companies. These guys were often called the warlords of tobacco. Think Paul M. Hahn from American Tobacco, O. Parker McComas from Philip Morris, the presidents of R.J. Reynolds, Laura Lard, Benson and Hedges. They're all there.
So the big players, what had them so spooked they needed this secret meeting at the plaza?
Panic. Pure panic. It was driven by science, specifically from the Sloan Kettering Institute for Cancer Research. A researcher there, Dr. Ernst Winder.
Winder. Okay, I know his earlier work had already shown a statistical link, right?
Yeah.
Between heavy smoking and lung cancer.
Exactly. Strong statistical link. But statistics, they can feel abstract. Companies could still argue maybe it's something else. Maybe it's correlation, not causation.
They could muddy the waters?
They could. But Winder's latest experiment, that just blew all the statistical arguments away. It made the danger horrifyingly concrete.
This is the mouse experiment, isn't it? It sounds gruesome.
It is, but it was definitive. Winder collected cigarette tar, basically, the condensed gunk from thousands of cigarettes, super concentrated. And he painted this thick, sticky tar onto the shaved backs of laboratory mice.
And what happened?
It wasn't subtle. Within weeks, the mice developed visible tumors, malignant cancers right there on their skin, directly caused by the tar.
Oh, wow. So it wasn't a statistic anymore. It was, look, cigarette stuff causes cancer right here on this animal.
That's it. Physical certainty. You could literally trace the path from the cigarette product to the tumor. The abstract risk became a tangible horror. For the tobacco execs, this was code red. The deniability was evaporating fast.
So this is the moment, right? The ethical crossroads. You have undeniable proof your product is causing a deadly disease. What do you do?
The ethical path seems clear. Stop selling it or fundamentally change it. Warn people, honestly.
But that's not what happened at the plaza.
Not even close. Their reaction wasn't, how do we fix this? It was, how do we manage this information? They didn't call their scientists. They called the PR guy.
And not just any PR guy. They called in the master, John W. Hill.
The founder of Hill & Knowlton, one of the biggest, most powerful public relations firms in the world, even back then. They needed the best spin doctor money could buy.
And Hill, he gave them some pretty cynical advice, didn't he?
Masterful in a dark way. He told them, look, Staying silent makes you look guilty. Flat out denying the science makes you look ignorant, especially as more studies come out.
So damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Almost. Hill proposed a third path, a brilliant, deceptive path. He said they needed to appear responsible, to look like they were committed to finding the truth, funding research.
While actually doing the opposite.
Precisely. While privately funding confusion, promoting uncertainty, and attacking the established science, they needed to control the story. Hill understood the power of narrative over raw fact.
Yeah, there's that incredible quote attributed to him, or at least reflecting his philosophy. It really sums it up. He basically said,
Let's hear it.
Excerpt 1, verbatim reading, "A fact is only as good as the story surrounding it."
Chilling, isn't it? They took that idea and ran with it, built an entire industry defense strategy on it for decades.
So Hill essentially tells them, your old product was tobacco. Your new product,
Your new product is doubt.
doubt. Manufactured uncertainty? How does that even work as a product?
The goal wasn't to win the scientific argument. They knew they couldn't, not honestly. The goal was to create so much noise, so much controversy, so many conflicting reports that the public, the media, the politicians would just throw up their hands and say, well, I guess the science isn't settled yet.
Paralysis through analysis, basically.
Girl.
Keep the debate going forever.
Keep it going, exhaust the opposition, delay regulation, and keep selling cigarettes. And that Plaza Pact, it wasn't just talk, it led to immediate action.
Like that big ad campaign.
Exactly. You suddenly saw full-page ads in newspapers across the country. A frank statement to cigarette smokers. It sounded so earnest, so responsible.
Frank, right? What did it promise?
It pledged the industry's commitment to health, promised to cooperate with researchers, and crucially, announced the formation of a brand new entity.
Ah, this must be the TRS.
That's the one, the Tobacco Industry Research Committee. It sounds noble, doesn't it? Like they're genuinely funding impartial science to get to the bottom of things.
But that name was just window dressing. What was the TRC really designed to do? You used a phrase earlier, multiply shadows.
That's how insiders later described its actual function. Not to find answers, but to create more questions. To muddy the waters so much that the actual danger got lost in the fog.
But how did they make the smokescreen look legitimate? They needed scientific cover.
They made a really cunning move. They hired Dr. Clarence Cook Little, known as C.C. Little, to head the TRAC.
C.C. Little. Wasn't he a pretty big name in science?
Huge name. A respected geneticist, former president of the University of Michigan, and, get this, a former managing director of the American Cancer Society.
Wow. Head of the American Cancer Society. That's instant credibility. How did they get him?
Well, Little had his own strong scientific opinions. He was genuinely skeptical about the idea that environmental factors like smoking were the primary cause of cancer. He leaned heavily towards genetics being the main driver.
So he already doubted the core link they were trying to obscure.
Right, he wasn't necessarily a shill in his own mind, perhaps. He likely believed he was upholding scientific rigor against what he saw as premature conclusions about environmental causes. But for the industry, he was perfect.
The perfect figurehead. A respected scientist casting doubt on the very research that threatened them.
Exactly. It gave them immense political and public cover. And under Little's direction, the TRC started spending money. Millions of dollars.
But where did that money go? Not towards replicating Wiener's mouse studies, I bet.
Oh, absolutely not. The funding map looks like a deliberate exercise in distraction. Money flowed away from direct studies on smoking and lung cancer
Towards
all sorts of other potential factors, genetics, obviously, given Little's background, but also things like stress, diet, air pollution, even the metabolism of earthworms.
Hold on, back up. Earthworms. Did you just say earthworm?
I did. The metabolism of earthworms. It sounds utterly ridiculous, I know.
It sounds beyond ridiculous. Why on earth would they fund research on earthworms in the context of smoking and cancer?
Think about the strategy. The goal isn't finding the cause of cancer. The goal is generating paperwork, generating studies, publications, anything that looks like science, no matter how irrelevant.
Okay, I think I see it. They needed headlines, not answers.
You got it. Imagine a journalist writing about a new government report linking smoking and cancer. To be balanced, they call the TRC for the other side.
And the TRC says,
well, the science is very complex. We're funding important research into genetics, air quality, stress factors, even biochemical processes like, earthworm metabolism. There's so many potential factors. Clearly, the issue isn't settled.
they create an arsenal of alternative research topics to point to. It makes the core issue, smoking causes cancer, seem like just one possibility among many.
It clouds the issue perfectly. It gives politicians an excuse to delay action. It gives smokers a reason to keep smoking. It allowed them to keep the controversy alive for decades, long after their own scientists knew the truth.
Which brings us to the most damning part. What they knew internally versus what they funded publicly. It's like corporate schizophrenia.
It really is. While the TIRC was talking about earthworms, the company's own private labs were running secret studies confirming the absolute worst.
And we know this because of the internal documents that eventually came out years later. Memos, reports.
Thousands upon thousands of pages, and they are utterly damning. There's this one internal memo from Brown and Williamson, written in 1969, long after the Plaza Pact, long after they knew. It just lays the strategy bare.
I think I know the one you mean. It's unbelievable they wrote it down.
Listen to this. It's a direct quote from their own files. Excerpt 2, verbatim reading. Doubt is our product since it is the best means of competing with the body of fact that exists in the mind of the general public. It is also the means of establishing a controversy.
Wow. Just wow. Doubt is our product. They're not even hiding it from themselves. They're admitting they need to compete with the facts.
Compete with reality. And they explicitly state that manufacturing controversy is the way to do it. It's the smoking gun of the entire disinformation campaign.
And while they're writing memos about selling doubt, what are their own scientists finding in those secret labs?
They were confirming everything Winder found and more. Take R.J. Reynolds, makers of Camel and Winston. They had a top-secret internal research program.
Did it have a code name? Always sounds more sinister with a code name.
It did. Project SAR, funded under something called Special Account Number 4. Very hush-hush.
Okay, Project SAR. What did it find?
By 1956, just 3 years after the Plaza meeting, Project SAR had replicated the mouse painting studies. Their own internal report concluded that cigarette tar was, and I quote, a potent carcinogen.
Potent carcinogen, 1956. They knew.
They knew, unequivocally, internally. And Philip Morris, the Marlboro guys, they had their own secret research, too.
Let me guess. Code name.
Yep. Project Hippo.
Hippo. Okay, SAR and Hippo. What secrets did Project Hippo uncover?
They went even deeper. They didn't just confirm the tar was carcinogenic, they started identifying specific cancer-causing chemicals in the smoke.
Like what?
Things like benzopyrene, arsenic, and something truly terrifying, polonium-210.
Polonium. Wait, isn't that radioactive?
Highly radioactive. And their own research found it in tobacco leaves and concentrated in cigarette smoke. They knew they were selling a product containing a radioactive carcinogen.
That is horrifying. Did they find anything else?
Oh, yeah. Project Hippo scientists documented how smoke destroys the cilia in the lungs, those tiny little hairs that are supposed to sweep out debris and protect your airways. Smoking paralyzes and kills them, leaving the lungs defenseless.
So the carcinogens just go straight in unimpeded.
Pretty much. But maybe the biggest secret they uncovered internally was about nicotine.
Addiction.
Their scientists meticulously mapped out how nicotine works in the brain, how it delivers that unique double punch. It can both calm you down and stimulate you.
The perfect chemical hook.
They figured out its pathway, its mechanism, and they absolutely knew it was powerfully addictive. They proved it to themselves scientifically.
And again, they wrote this down. There's proof they admitted this internally.
Absolutely. There's a now infamous memo from 1963, written by Addison Yeaman, who was high up at Brown and Williamson, a lawyer. It's incredibly blunt.
What did it say?
He summed up their entire business model in one sentence. Prepare yourself for this one. Excerpt 3, verbatim reading. We are then in the business of selling nicotine, an addictive drug.
1963. Selling nicotine, an addictive drug. They knew they were drug pushers. Selling a drug they also knew caused cancer.
Correct. That knowledge, cancer and addiction was locked away, protected by attorney-client privilege, buried in corporate vaults for decades. The deception wasn't just a PR tactic, it was fundamental to their profits, their entire business.
But even the best-kept secrets can't stay hidden forever, right? Eventually, the dam had to break.
It did. The scientific consensus outside the industry just kept growing stronger and stronger despite the TRC's efforts, and finally the government couldn't ignore it anymore.
This leads us to the big one, the Surgeon General's report.
January 11th, 1964, a landmark day. Surgeon General Luther Terry steps up to the podium and releases this massive report titled simply Smoking and Health.
And the conclusion.
No more maybes, no more probablys. The report stated, firmly and officially, that cigarette smoking causes lung cancer in men. It also linked smoking to other diseases like emphysema and heart disease.
So the official word was out. The highest health authority in the U.S. says, yes, this stuff causes cancer. That had to be the end of the road for denial.
It was the end of plausible denial, certainly. The scientific debate in the public sphere was essentially over. But the industry, they didn't just fold.
What could they possibly do? They couldn't deny the Surgeon General.
If you can't win on the science, you change the subject, you shift the entire battlefield. And that's exactly what they did almost overnight.
Shifted to what?
To politics, to ideology. They stopped arguing about tar and tumors and started talking about liberty, freedom, individual choice, government overreach.
The personal responsibility argument. It's my choice if I want to smoke.
Precisely. They reframed smoking not as a public health crisis caused by a dangerous product, but as a fundamental issue of personal freedom. It was brilliant in a way. How do you argue against freedom?
It's a much harder target than arguing against scientific data.
Much harder. And this political pivot led to their next major and perhaps most counterintuitive victory. It came disguised as regulation.
Yeah. You're talking about the warning labels.
I am. The Federal Cigarette Labeling and Advertising Act of 1965. This is the law that mandated that little warning label on the side of cigarette packs.
The one we all know. Caution. Cigarette smoking may be hazardous to your health. Seems like a win for public health, right? A warning, finally.
It seemed like a win, a very small, very weak win. Maybe hazardous is pretty mild compared to causes cancer, but the real genius for the industry wasn't the label itself, it was something buried deep in the text of that act.
Okay, what's the catch?
The catch was a little thing called the preemption clause.
Preemption clause, what does that mean?
It meant that this new, weak federal warning label preempted or overruled any possibility of states or cities enacting their own, potentially much stronger, warning labels or advertising restrictions.
Wait, seriously? So California couldn't say, warning, smoking kills?
Nope.
Yeah.
New York City couldn't ban certain types of ads? Nope. The federal law set both the requirement and the ceiling. That weak little maybe hazardous label became the legally mandated maximum warning.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
They turned a regulation designed to warn people into a shield to protect themselves from stronger warnings.
Exactly. It was a legal masterstroke. What looked like a concession to public health was actually their greatest legal defense for decades.
How did it become a defense?
In lawsuits. When smokers who got cancer sued the companies could say, hey, we warned them. The government made us put this label on the pack. They knew the risks. They chose to smoke anyway. That weak federal warning became Exhibit A in their defense of personal responsibility.
So the very tool meant to inform the public was twisted into a weapon to blame the victim. That's just deeply cynical.
Deeply cynical and incredibly effective legally for a very long time. This legal fortress, combined with the PR wall of doubt, seemed almost impenetrable.
Almost, but then came the leaks, the insiders, the whistleblowers.
Right. People who had been on the inside, who knew the truth, and who couldn't stay silent any longer despite enormous personal risks.
We absolutely have to mention Merrill Williams.
Yes. Merrill Williams. He was a paralegal working for a law firm that represented Brown and Williamson. He had access to those explosive internal documents we've been talking about.
The ones marked secret, confidential, detailing the cancer findings, the addiction science, the PR strategy.
All of it.
Yeah.
And over several years, he recognized their importance and let's just say he made copies. Thousands of pages. He smuggled them out.
That must have been terrifying. What happened to those documents?
They became known as the B&W papers, and they eventually made their way to anti-tobacco researchers and journalists. They were dynamite, the DNA of the conspiracy laid bare.
And then there was Jeffrey Wigand. His story became a major movie, The Insider.
Jeffrey Wigand, yeah. A very different kind of whistleblower. He wasn't a paralegal finding old documents. He was a high-level scientist, vice president of research and development at Brown and Williamson.
So he knew the current operational secrets. What did he expose?
Wigand exposed something truly shocking about how they were manipulating the product itself, specifically the nicotine delivery. He revealed a process they internally called impact boosting.
Impact boosting. What does that mean?
It means they were intentionally using chemical additives, specifically ammonia compounds, in the tobacco processing.
Ammonia. Like cleaning ammonia. Why?
Because ammonia changes the chemistry of nicotine. It converts it into a freebase form. Just like freebase in cocaine, freebase nicotine is absorbed much faster by the lungs and hits the brain almost instantly, creating a bigger, quicker jolt.
So they were chemically engineering cigarettes to make the nicotine hit harder and faster.
Making them significantly more addictive. They weren't just selling an addictive drug. Wigan revealed they were actively manipulating the drug delivery system to maximize its addictive power. That was explosive testimony.
So you have the documents from Williams, the scientific testimony from Wigand. The pressure must have been immense.
Immense. Decades of lies were catching up with them. State attorneys general were suing them for Medicaid costs related to smoking diseases. The legal walls were finally crumbling.
Which leads us to the big settlement.
The 1998 Master Settlement Agreement, the MSA. This was a landmark deal between the attorneys general of 46 states and the major tobacco companies.
What were the terms? Did the companies finally have to pay up?
Oh, they paid. Big time. The agreement required the industry to pay the states a minimum of $206 billion over 25 years to compensate for tobacco-related healthcare costs. Billion with a B.
$206 billion. That's a staggering amount.
What else? Major restrictions on marketing, especially marketing aimed at young people. Remember Joe Camel?
Oh yeah, the cartoon camel. He was everywhere.
Gone. The MSA banned the use of cartoon characters. It restricted billboard advertising, transit ads, sponsorships of concerts and sporting events. A lot of the most visible marketing disappeared.
So a huge financial hit and marketing handcuffs. But you said earlier the most important outcome wasn't the money?
For history, for understanding this conspiracy, the most critical part of the MSA was something else entirely. It mandated the release of internal industry documents.
The documents Williams leaked and millions more like them.
Millions and millions of pages. They were forced to create a massive public online repository searchable databases containing their own internal memos, research reports, marketing plans, everything.
So their deepest secrets, the evidence of the decades-long conspiracy.
Became public record. A permanent, undeniable monument to their own deception, built from their own words. It was the ultimate turning of the tables. Their secrecy became their public shame.
And studying those documents, understanding that history, reveals something incredibly important for us today, doesn't it?
It reveals the playbook.
The tobacco playbook. The step-by-step guide for how a powerful industry can fight inconvenient science and delay action, even when lives are at stake.
And this playbook, honed over decades by tobacco lawyers and PR firms, didn't die with the MSA. It got copied, adopted by other industries facing similar threats.
Like who? Where else have we seen these tactics?
Oh, it's depressingly common. Think about the fossil fuel industry and climate change. For years, they funded contrarian scientists and think tanks to sow doubt about the scientific consensus, even when their own internal research often confirmed the risks.
Manufacturing uncertainty about climate models, emphasizing natural cycles, funding studies on, solar flares.
Exactly, same tactic. Or think about the chemical industry fighting regulations on harmful pesticides or plastics. Or even more recently, Purdue Pharma and the opioid crisis downplaying the addictive potential of OxyContin.
It's the same strategy, over and over. Let's break down that playbook. What are the core lessons, the ruthless rules they established?
Based on everything we've discussed and what's clear from the documents, there are about 5 key pillars to this playbook of deceit.
Okay, number 1.
Manufacture uncertainty. If the facts hurt you, create a debate. Fund conflicting studies, promote contrarian voices, make the science seem unsettled even when it's not. Doubt is your product.
Got it. Number 2.
Buy credibility. Hire respected, often credentialed expert scientists, academics, sometimes even former regulators who are skeptical or have minority views, like Dr. Little for the TOC. Their reputation lends legitimacy to your manufactured doubt.
Okay, manufacture doubt, buy credibility. Number 3.
Attack the messenger. If you can't refute the science, attack the scientists personally or professionally. Question their motives, their funding, their methods. Discredit the source to undermine the message.
Nasty, but effective. Number 4.
Shift the narrative. Change the conversation away from the inconvenient facts like health risks and towards more abstract, harder to pin down concepts like freedom, personal choice, economic impact, or government overreach.
The liberty argument we talked about.
Okay.
And the final pillar, number 5.
Obstruct action. Use lobbying, legal challenges, and political maneuvering to delay or weaken regulations. Exploit loopholes. That preemption clause in the Labeling Act is a perfect example using regulation to actually block stronger action.
Manufacture uncertainty, buy credibility, attack the messenger, shift the narrative, and obstruct action. That's the playbook.
That's the playbook. Born in the smoke-filled rooms of the Plaza Hotel, refined over decades, and now used across industries. It's arguably the most dangerous legacy of tobacco conspiracy.
Because once you recognize the playbook, you start seeing it everywhere.
You really do.
Okay, wow. That is a heavy but incredibly important story of corporate deception. After hearing all of that, we really want to know what stood out most to you, the listener.
Yeah, what part of this conspiracy, this playbook, did you find genuinely surprising? Maybe something you hadn't realized or fully grasped before this deep dive.
For instance, was it the sheer cynicism of that federal warning label? The fact that this weak caution message we all kind of ignored actually became a powerful legal shield for the industry, blocking states from issuing tougher warnings.
Or maybe it was the internal science stuff. The discovery in their own secret labs of radioactive polonium-210 in the cigarette smoke. Finding radioactive material and just keeping it quiet.
Or perhaps it was learning about impact boosting. The fact that they weren't just selling addictive nicotine, but were deliberately using ammonia compounds to chemically engineer it, to make it hit faster and harder, dramatically increasing its addictive grip.
There are so many shocking elements. Let us know which one hit you the hardest. Find us on social media. Share your thoughts.
Please do. And hey, if you found this deep dive valuable, leave us a review on your podcast app. It really helps others find the show. And of course, make sure you subscribe to The Deep Dive from HistoGate Chronicles so you don't miss our next exploration.
And one more thing, if you'd rather listen to this story in more detail or just prefer audiobooks, you can listen to the full audiobook version of The Tobacco Conspiracy completely free.
That's right. The link for the free audiobook is right there in the description of this deep dive. Check it out.
So wrapping this all up, what's the core takeaway here?
I mean, for me, it's the calculated nature of it all.
Right. This wasn't ignorance. It wasn't an accident. The tobacco conspiracy was born from documented, internal, scientific knowledge that their product caused cancer and was highly addictive.
And they didn't just stumble into denial. They engineered it. They sustained the lie for decades through incredibly sophisticated, well-funded, relentless disinformation campaigns.
All designed with one goal: protect profits no matter the cost to public health.
And the cost was immense. Those 10 million deaths after the 1964 Surgeon General's report, the point where the truth was officially out, those weren't just tragic statistics. They were the predictable, arguably inevitable result of this deliberate corporate strategy of doubt and delay.
It's a staggering betrayal of public trust, one of the biggest in modern history.
But here's the final thought we want to leave you with, especially for you learners out there. The playbook. It's not secret anymore.
Thanks to the MSA, thanks to whistleblowers and researchers, it's exposed. Those millions of documents are online. The tactics are known.
So the question becomes, when the next major crisis hits, when you see powerful interests trying to muddy the waters around science or shift the debate to freedom instead of facts,
will you recognize the playbook? Will you hear the echoes of the Plaza Pact and their arguments? Being able to spot the tactics is the first step in resisting them.
Something to definitely think about. Thank you all so much for joining us on this deep dive and for your loyalty to HistoGate Chronicles.
We hope you found this story as compelling and maybe as infuriating as we do. We'll be back soon with another investigation into history's covered-up truths.
Until next time, goodbye for now.